Is Janet from another planet? 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 Is Janet from another planet?
Today's digital landscape with the spread of false information can lead to dangerous outcomes. It's crucial for everyone to think critically and verify sources and reflect on the impact of what they share. Let's promote responsible communication to ensure that truth prevails and actions remain rooted in reality.
The opinions you're about to hear on this show are strictly those of the panel.
The following program is rated TV MA LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to After Hours. We had a few technical difficulties, so hopefully everything will work better. We've been trying to fix it, but I wanted to welcome Chris Moore again. He was here last week, and he's going to talk about some more things that they discussed when he was gone to DC. And I've got a few things that I want to play to remind people of things we already knew about. And hopefully everything will work out pretty good. But how are you doing, Chris?
Doing good. Good as you can do in this crazy world we're living in these days.
I know it has been crazy. So give us a little update on what you were doing and why you went to Washington, D.C., and let everybody know who you are and that kind of thing.
Okay, well, Ron Johnson Senator Johnson is doing a in-depth dig into how all of the truth was hidden during the COVID, what the real damages of it were, and basically because we're trying to figure out solutions. And until we start talking about the truth openly across the board, we won't be able to come up with solutions because they're not willing to even look at the problem. So it's going real fast these days. We have a new finding coming from Dr. Campbell about the myocardopathy. And they actually found it, looking at autopsies and all of that. That video that I sent you that you said you can't play, I hope people go to the link. It's a little bit on the technical side, not too much, but in a way that most people could understand it. And it talks about how the spike protein caused autoimmune reactions in both the heart and in the liver. So that's a really, really good video to watch. And I think it's important for me to mention, because that one video we looked at in the green room where there are solutions. Okay, we've come up with herbs that will increase your CD8, which is the main thing you need to get the spike protein out. That's one of the interferons, one of the T cells. And basically, like we talked about, I was telling people that they were going to inject us with AIDS. Now, the reason that I was saying that so boldly then is because I was in the shearing plow interferon study. I got bad blood in a transfusion after something that happened in the military, and I got hepatitis C from it. So I got into this experimental program that was supposed to cure hepatitis C. Well, it wasn't spike protein and it wasn't a COVID vaccine, but it did alter my DNA. It altered my RNA to tell my body to make more interferon. But the problem is, I'm pretty sure for that one, what they did is they got horse interferon, and then they changed it to where it would work with people. Basically the same thing they're doing now with this, but it was just more to help the body attack the thing. Well, a lot of men who were in my group in the study died, and everybody got sick. Some people didn't get anything, and then we found out there was a placebo group. But it was brutal. I promise you, it was the most brutal thing I ever went through in my life. I would give myself injections in my thigh or my stomach. I would shake and quiver and vomit, and all this other stuff. And it went on for about 18 months, and it was not good. It's chemotherapy, basically, is what it is. So when they started fabricating all these proteins that they were going to use to make the spike protein, they were building these protein trees out of sections of other creatures and building one that would work. And I thought, oh, that's going to be worse, way worse than the interferon was, because now they're putting mice genes in and, bacteria, all just, I've got a list. I don't want to get into all of it right now, but Congress has that. And then all the side effects, the cancers, the cardiomyopathies, the hepatitis, pancreatic cancer, all this other stuff, we know sort of what caused it all. Now we're ready to get the solutions out. But it's going to require talking about some really hard truths, that they really did kill millions of people, experimenting with something that so the origins of COVID will never totally be told, because you're going to show a video in a little while of this lady saying, yeah, we were deleting things that were coming in. Well, we were getting videos from China and kids at Apple University who said they had local elections in Wuhan, and Xi Jinping got so furious that he basically, they say it leaked out of that lab, but students that were down there watching people drop dead in the streets and sending videos to us in America saying, man, look what's going on, and the welding of buildings shut, starving people to death. I mean, that had nothing to do with COVID. And we know it happened. There's no dispute whatsoever that they didn't lock people up in high-rise towers and starve them to death during that. So it was.
I remember seeing lots of videos that were being leaked out, but only on like X, on Rumble, a few here and there on TikTok. But YouTube was like squashing everything. They were pretty much wouldn't let anything at all be seen. I remember one of my friends who was able to get some donations from his subscribers during January 6th to go to Washington, D.C. and was filming, walking around and stuff like that. And he ended up having his video taken down because he was talking about how Antifa people were changing into Trump attire and stuff like that, and his video just disappeared. So Google and YouTube and all them, just like what they did to Parler when they took their servers down, they just didn't like that Parler was letting people say things that they were trying to squash. Remember, Facebook did the same thing, and that's why I was so disgusted when the whatever his name is, I can't remember his name right this second, went to the inauguration, like he was some kind of special person when he was in on all of this shit. covering things up and not letting people say the truth and things like that. And it's sickening. It's sickening how all the news outlets and most of the apps were squashing you, wouldn't let you say anything. And I thought once X was purchased by Elon, that would be a little better. And it seemed like when he first started and he was on there a lot, it was a lot better. But then it's slowly getting more and more back to exactly what it was, because I think it's because AI is running it. And AI has been programmed to not let certain words be said. If you say a certain thing, it will stop you from being able to say it. You can't post something because that word might be in it, whatever word it is that they put on there as a trigger word. And I think COVID was one of them. So people were saying, different words to try to get around the AI part of it. But see, that's why I think a lot of it is similar on all the different apps, even though one is supposed to be more free than another, like Truth Social. Okay, I think Truth Social is a little different because I see a lot of people posting stuff on there about COVID, about election fraud, everything, and I haven't seen anybody's stuff just disappear. You know what I mean? So I think it has less AI running everything compared to these other channels and stuff. But everything that you were talking about when you came back and were telling me a little bit about, because I know that you can't talk about a lot of it until it comes out completely. So I would like for you to fill us in on things that you were talking about and what you are allowed to share before it comes out on, is it going to be on C-SPAN, I guess?
Yeah, C-SPAN will be the ones that have. You should be able to go watch it on whitehouse.gov or senate.gov or whatever it is. Or there's the picture that I sent you actually has the web link. That's the one that John Campbell
I'll have to
went
look real
and
quick and see
That's
what
the
it is.
one John Campbell went and watched. Anyway,
Yeah,
let me go back.
share
I want to
this
talk about the timing of what went on at the
Okay.
very beginning of this, and it's very important for the rest of the conversation. They were working on the COVID virus here in 2012, or vaccine or whatever. They were experimenting with it. A lot of laws changed. It ended up in Wuhan. It still ended up being paid for by Americans. So grants were coming in to University of North Carolina to pay for all of this stuff. But in 2016, Bill and Melinda Gates, the Gates Foundation, gave $16 million to Moderna to develop the vaccine. And then in 2019, before you ever heard a word about COVID, he paid $55 million to Moderna to make the vaccines. So when they got Trump to say, oh yeah, you can do this lightning speed, whatever that stupid thing they did was, they already had the vaccines. That's the first and most important lie all people need to understand about this. They had the vaccines ready before the first American heard the word COVID. Mm-hmm. And they never tested them. There was one test where they gave 100 dogs the COVID vaccine and all 100 of them died. And they gave it to us anyway. The things I'm talking about now, it's out there. These things it's public information, all of this stuff now. And it's getting worse and worse about the public information. But what I was going to say is COVID was a 3-pronged attack. The first one was the physical disease. The second one was for the people that wanted to make the trillions of dollars off of the vaccines. But the third was literally to overthrow the Western world. They did mandates and shutdowns all over the world, and miraculously, one party did so well, it was unreal. And now looking back at that time, it's like, wait a second, how do you have more people vote in elections than there are people? Well, right? So
that right there proves that it's cheating, because you can have more ballots than were passed out.
That's right.
Okay.
Okay, so if you look at
But
look
for
at
some
look at
reason,
that.
they don't see it that way. At least the people in charge are saying, well, they're making excuses because they think you and I, the public, are dumbasses. And that
Okay, so
we'll eat
let's
any
fast
shit that they
forward.
dole out.
Let's fast forward with that picture in mind. Let's fast forward to December of 2019.
Mhm.
The head of World Health Organization from Johannesburg, where the World Health Organization is, comes on and does a press conference and he says, we are going to have a hantavirus outbreak. Pandemic, he was calling it. I'm like, your job's not to announce pandemics. You're supposed to prevent them. That's your number one job. So, of course, I started digging into it. And I found on the SBK4 system all of the data where they were trying to sequence the hantavirus for another mRNA vaccine.
Yeah.
So it was initially reported that it was being looked at Oxford through Moderna. And that's what Dr. Campbell came up with. And I dug a little farther, and it's actually the man who owns every Hyundai corporation has given 10 million yen or whatever that is they use in Japan to give to a Japanese vaccine developer. So we're chasing them around. And every time we get to them and say, you cannot do this, they just hire somebody else to do it and pay millions of dollars. So all this time that they're saying, well, there's a horrible outbreak of hantavirus in a port down in Venezuela. And they got cruise ships going in and out of there, flights coming in and out, tourism going on. But they're not preventing it from getting out. And then when we crush that, we're like, no, you ain't bringing anybody to America that's been down there. We're sealing the borders, blah, blah, blah. Then Ebola breaks out. And there's been 132 cases, but here's the problem. Once again, the World Health Organization in two different press releases today, this week, specifically about Ebola. In one of them, they suggested that they don't do travel bans or any of that kind of stuff. And then the United States was going to build a containment place, to keep people, to find out if they're going to get it, if they're exposed, whatever. And the Nigerians don't want us anywhere near Nigeria. And I had suggested a couple of weeks ago to the people like the senators, okay, the intel community. I said, look, send the same hospital ship you had outside of New York when COVID was going on. Send that over there and use that because that'll be out in the water, blah, blah, blah. Well, they didn't do that. And all of this put off is going on. And now there's somebody trying to come up with an Ebola vaccine. Same thing, mRNA, blah, blah, blah. Well, somebody down in Argentina dealing with that stuff. I put a comment on one of the videos that Dr. Campbell put up.
Yeah.
And I explained that I had seen the data sequencing and all that. And a doctor from Venezuela commented exactly everything, that they've used in plasmids. And that's even worse than the mRNA. The plasmids will literally cause us to have autoimmune diseases. Well, AIDS, which is acquired immune deficiency syndrome, attacks your T cells. What this does with the vaccines that they're giving us is it makes our T cells fight our own body, which is basically what AIDS does.
Yeah, I watched the video. I've shared it in the it was Dr. John Campbell's channel, and this is it right here. This is the video that you sent me, and I watched it a couple of times, and from what I gathered from his information, which I recommend everyone watch because it's very, very informative, was saying how the COVID vaccine spike proteins attach to your healthy cells, okay, in your body. And when your body sees the spike protein, it knows it's a invasion. Okay. So it attacks the spike proteins, but the bad thing is it's attacking your healthy cells because there's spike proteins attached to them because they stick like a little porcupine quill would on anything, right? So your body is trying to defend itself from the spike proteins, not realizing it's attacking your healthy white blood cells and stuff because there's spike proteins attached to it. So basically, they have to figure out a way to remove the spike proteins and not have them constantly keep regenerating. Which is part of the problem. Even when you and when I first started talking to you and Dawn was looking under her microscope in her own kitchen, trying to figure out with using her own blood and your blood and other people's blood that she could get a hold of to try to find out what would make the blood clean again, away, back to what it should be looking like. And she tried all these different things, the household chemicals, whatever she could get her hands on, and herbs. And she finally came up with a few things that she could see it works. So the fact that you two were able to do that with everybody being,
This is Formosa. And I've been finding out about thousands of plants, but I'm telling you right now, with this couple of strands of this in some hot water and make some tea, and it's nature's absolute best mood enhancer, non-addictive, makes you feel like you cannot sit down. I've got to go do something. It's that kind of thing, but it's not speed. It's only a mood enhancer. And it also works incredibly with joint pain and arthritis and stuff like that. These were junk trees that were brought to America for landscaping. And so help me God, this may be the best natural medicine for overall well-being and feeling that I have ever laid my hands on.
Well, that's one of the things that Dawn was explaining to me a couple times on different shows. Now, the thing is, 2 of the shows are no longer available simply because YouTube didn't agree with what she was saying. Even though I played all that stuff like I did at the beginning of this, trying to say this is our point of view, this is what our choice to talk about it, and we don't tell you that we're doctors, we're not scientists, we're just people, we're Americans that want to see other Americans get information and be able to help themselves. And just like you were saying earlier before we started, that you have American Indian blood in you. And well, so do I. My great grandmother was raised on an Indian reservation, is Chickasaw Nation. Okay. And guess what they used to do? They took care of themselves using natural things that they found in their environment. They didn't have laboratories. They didn't have all the different stuff that we supposedly have that sets us better than anyone else. And that's what they would do. They'd go out and find moss and mushrooms and mud, all different types of things to use to heal the people in their tribes. And what's interesting when I started getting to talk to you and Dawn was the fact that she was coming right back to nature to be able to help people, because when you go to the doctor, it seems like today that they say, well, take this pill, it'll help you with that. Take that pill, it'll help you with this. And take this, it'll help you with this. So you're taking a handful of pills, prescriptions, to fix the problem that they gave you. You see what I mean? So they're making more money off of the shot that they gave you. Then the health problems you're having, they're getting money. And now you're having to take medicine for the rest of your life. So why not try and start taking supplements that might be able to help you, right?
Yeah. Well, Big Pharma, you have to keep in mind, number 6 in the top 10 most revenue building businesses in all of America is pharmaceutical. And that's one of the parts of the lobby of Washington, D.C. The entire reason the Food and Drug Administration was created was so they could make it against the law to grow opium poppies and then turn around and sell you codeine pills. That's the whole reason it was done. It was done by the Rothschilds and Pfizer. So Just hands down. I mean,
What about Moderna? Who owns Moderna?
that's a European company.
Okay, well, there's like 3 or
Bayer's
4
German.
different companies, wasn't there, that had all vaccines by the end of it?
Well, yeah, and I mean, but that's because, okay, Allen Dulles. There's Dulles Airport up in Washington D.C. Right? That's Allen Dulles, and he's praised as being the greatest man ever. He basically orchestrated the Second World War. He worked with the Nazis in the American banking system. He was behind MK Ultra. He's the one who ordered MK Ultra. He is one of the worst ever people for the American population, one of the most damning and sickest people in the world. And if you look at his history, it's appalling. The things he was involved in, like doping soldiers and seeing if they could brainwash them and all that kind of stuff. All that came from OSS and then the CIA, which Dulles was part of. Okay, Dulles's father was a preacher, but he was the Secretary of State, while his brother was the Department of Defense. Something, I don't know. It was some crazy thing where the two of them literally could control the world with their positions but their grandfather was a senator, right? So those kind of things go down. But go to YouTube and Google Allen Dulles. You will be stunned at what that man was. He manipulated wars, he caused the Cold War. He caused the Cold War because someone came to him with information he chose to withhold. And that's the way he was. He wouldn't always give information. I do the same kind of work that guy did. I mean, I grew up like that. The general father of presidents, doctors, real powerful people in my family in every corner. But I tell the truth, whether it sounds good or whether people should be able to use their own common sense and their own sense of reasoning and just hear the truth and then be able to do things, because what we're talking about is total corruption. And they're turning around right now using hantavirus and Ebola to cause another fear thing. The midterms are coming up. Before you know it, we'll be 2 years in and they'll be telling you can't go vote again. I mean, and look at what we're having in California right now. Those laws that allowed them to take votes for weeks on end, every one of those was created solely for people to be able to vote during the pandemic, and they didn't let them go. So that literally is the proof of what I'm saying, that they used COVID as part of a worldwide overthrow of Western culture.
Yeah.
Sad fact. It's just a sad fact.
I wanted to play this one video of the Surgeon General of Florida. I shared it with you earlier, and then you can talk about him because you've met him, right?
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to play this newest video of him because I've played a few of him talking about the very first time. The second time that I got a kind of like a slap was because I played him, the Surgeon General of Florida, talking about how he was going to stop giving anyone under the age, I think it was 16, the COVID vaccine in his state, simply because they didn't know whether it altered DNA or what the outcome would be, right? So he stopped doing that, and he was the Surgeon General of Florida, and they gave me a slap and said that YouTube said I was spreading medical misinformation. And I'm like, he's the Surgeon General of Florida, for Christ's sake. He can't be a stupid idiot. You know what I mean? So it was like, and you just know people to talk to, so you can't really do anything. I just said, oh, well, nothing I can do. But I'm going to share this because this is another video I found of him. And he's trying to talk about the newest information that he has and how he thinks it's totally stupid. So I'm going to play this for you and see what you guys think. Hold on. Here we go.
Fortunately, more and more became aware of not only the fact that, that we lived in a time and a country where people literally, like, someone could be completely healthy, receive an injection, drop dead the next day, and figures of authority would tell you that there's just absolutely positively no relation or no evidence that there's a relationship between the exposure and what happened to this healthy dude. You know, don't believe your lying eyes. And so they provided a lot of fodder, and more people became aware of this big lie and became aware of the corruption that was just an integral and apparently inseparable part of our government, our public health infrastructure. And people saw this with their own eyes, and I saw this with my own eyes, and you know, my mouth was agape. I mean, I couldn't believe all the things that I was seeing. It certainly didn't help that I had training in terms of not only as a physician, but someone with a PhD in research science. And you know, this is while I was at UCLA, and it was just obvious. I mean, these things that I was hearing my colleagues, other scientists sometimes saying and spouting, I just couldn't believe it. I mean, literally, I just couldn't believe it. It was literally like they were creating and upholding this alternate reality about these COVID-19 vaccines, and I just couldn't believe it.
As you can tell, he's shocked. And a lot of people were, I'm copying this so I can share it in the chat with all of you. So hold on one second. I'm going to put it in the chat so you can share this video. And this is the Surgeon General of Florida. And this is from a post from the Health Freedom Defense Fund on X. And I just wanted you guys to see that video because he is the Surgeon General of Florida, huge state with millions of people, and he was aghast, you know, about the reaction of what people were saying and the way they were reacting in the medical areas of our country to somebody getting a shot and then collapsing or having other adverse effects from their vaccine. And yet everybody was turning and looking the other way like, well, we have no clue what's going on. You know, it's ridiculous. I mean, and even me, I'm just a normal mom, you know, American that has a job, it works, cleans house, it does normal stuff. And I think I have some common sense, and I could tell that there's something wasn't right. and because I ask too many questions, I get ostracized because of it. And that's sad because we should be able to ask as many questions as we feel we need to feel safe. You know, I believe that.
Well, let me tell you my Surgeon General story. This kind of goes out a little bit. It was, I know, do you remember around New Year's Eve when there were supposedly some aliens landed in Miami?
Yes, I remember it was a crash.
Yeah, it went crazy, right? All right, so let me tell you my week going up to that.
Okay.
I was told you need to go down and go to this press briefing for the Surgeon General. And I was like, wow, that's cool. So I told somebody and they said, oh man, I got tickets to the Georgia-Florida bowl game and I can't go. Just come by and get them. So I go get those tickets. I go down there. I'm spending time in Florida and having fun. And I was sitting on the beach in a space. And I used to just listen, right? And these people in this space are planning that. And I was like, wow. So I go to the Surgeon General's press briefing. That night, I went and parked across the street from where they told everybody to meet and nothing happened. You know, I was like, nothing happened. Some kids threw some fireworks off at where they were going to have the major fireworks show for the Miami Beach. And there was a lot of fireworks around. So, of course, they chased them off. They're firing fireworks around stuff that literally would blow a car up. Anyway, so here was the press release for the Surgeon General that I went to see. He banned all mRNA vaccines in Florida. And then instead of them saying that he banned the mRNA vaccines, they went crazy with that stupid story. And I'm telling you, nothing happened. Nothing happened. There was no fight. There was no anything. I've got pictures of my truck in a parking lot right across the street from where all this supposedly happened. And there was no cars even in the parking lot I was in, which is like always full. People use it to go on cruises and stuff. There was nothing. And it was New Year's Eve, I think. So yeah, that's how they do that. That's how media keeps you from finding out anything that matters. Like, you don't hear them talking about Ebola. What's WHO doing? Or why are they making vaccines? And this is the same crap they did to us that basically had people. A couple people asked me to drive them by those National Guard Reserve Unit vaccine places. And I went through the line and all the crap I heard going through the line. And even the soldiers, I'm like, I am not taking your stupid fucking vaccine. Get away from me, man. Right? And the people in the car were taking it. I'm like, you don't have to do that. You know, you don't have to do this. But the lines of cars of people, it was in the hundreds of thousands of people just in Nashville. Right? Everybody was waiting in line to basically, at this point of the game, we know it's commit suicide. What they're talking about with the myocardiopathy, the heart damage, oh, it's like aging from 50 to 90 in about 2 years. Okay, well, we're going to keep on aging. And in the near future, it's going to be people. It's already going on. I don't want to get into all of that, but you can look the stats up of men between 25 and 40 that are dying of heart attacks and look back before
Pre-COVID, and it used to be like 7%.
and now it's 27%. And it's only going to go up.
I want to share something that I posted on my channel because I want it, and I would like it if you see it, to write this down, because it's the truth, and it's when it's not a law. Okay, so when they tell you it's mandatory that you have to wear a mask, or you have to get this shot, or you have to take this pill, or whatever, at a store, or that it's required or ordered or requested, it's an ordinance, a decree, a recommendation. Okay, any of these things, guess what? It's not a law. None of these right here words are laws. So if you go to a store, which I did many times, and they said you have to wear a mask, and I said, why? Okay, why do I have to wear a mask? And they said, well, because we don't want you to get other people sick. And I go, well, I'm not sick. I don't have a fever. I'm not sick. And I never had COVID. I took blood. I made them take my blood one time, and I didn't have it. And I've never had it. And I didn't get the vaccination. I've never been vaccinated with that. And I barely ever wore a mask. And what I did was I took a box, because I have allergies anyways. And I folded it and I kept it in my purse. And it says right on the box of these masks that everybody is wearing that it doesn't prevent viruses. You know, you could wear it for like maybe dust, other larger particles. But I would tell them, if you wear that mask to stop something, it's getting in your eyes. And if you look at your eyes in a mirror, you can see that you have blood vessels in there. So if it can get in your eyes, it can get in your body. It can get into your mucous membranes or whatever, and whatever it is that you think you're not going to get, you're going to get. Why do you think they wear those full body covers when it comes to something like Ebola and other viruses that can kill you, and that there's no cure for? There's no vaccines. There's nothing. You either live or you don't. Okay, with something like that. So that's why I carried the box with me, because when they'd say I had to wear it, and then they say, well, you can't come in to my business, and I would say, fine. So I would leave, because if it's a business, a restaurant, a grocery store, or any of these other places, and they ask you not to come in because you don't have a shirt on, or you're not wearing shoes, or it's a requirement for their business for you to wear that. And they can tell you can't come in because it's their business. Just like YouTube or X or any other platform, if they say, we don't want you to do this, this, and this, or we're going to kick you off, they have the right to do it. It doesn't matter whether we like it or not, because they own it. Okay. Just like your house, you can say no to anyone that comes to your door. You can't come in unless you have a warrant, right? So it's the same thing for any business. But I just wanted people to remember, when you go to the park or you go anywhere and they say it's mandatory or it's required or any of these other words, it's not a law. Okay. If they tell you it's the law, you have to do it, or you can't, do this, totally different. But none of them said that. They said these words that I have on there. I just wanted to remind people of that. So if something like that ever happens again, listen to what they're saying, take a breath and think about it before you react. Because when you go off all upset and pissed off, all it does is nobody listens then. Everybody's just yelling and screaming at each other and nothing gets done. So try to just stay calm. Think about the circumstances of your actions before you act, and it will help a lot of people. But go ahead, Christopher. I'm going to take this down so you can go back to what you were talking about. I just wanted to add that because a lot of people don't really think about that part of it.
I'm just going to say something that's just ridiculously funny about all of that.
Yeah.
And just as a side note, me and my father were telling him, he was still alive then, and he was calling up Dr. Redfield, who was the head of the CDC. My dad trained Dr. Redfield when they were on active duty together. My dad trained him to be a hospital administrator. So it was kind of chummy, and we were talking about it all. And the 95, that goes by the size of the filter.
A 119 which is the one
that has the two little cans over here by your mouth and sealed around. That's a 119. That'll stop a virus. Those are made to stop fumes from paint and stuff like that. So they're
right also.
Yeah. So then here's the thing though. You go to the grocery store, they tell you to stand 6 feet apart. They tell you got to wear a mask. And you know what everybody took the mask away from their mouth for in the grocery store? To lick their fingers so they could open plastic bags, so they could put fruits in them, and so they could pack their groceries, right? And you got people in there licking, they've got the bathrooms open. We eventually found out that no, it won't spread through urine unless you go hand to mouth with something that's been infected with it. And we went
on and on and on and told them you can't.
You're not going to prevent this outbreak with those things. And all of that was, go look up the people who got the money to make the masks. Remember the shortage? And when there were plenty of them around, oh yes, you need those. Then they ran out. These are only for people who work in hospitals. And then they've made all these companies that make all these things. And what are they doing now? We don't need them anymore. Right? And that was part of the $2 trillion that disappeared during COVID. I mean, I said something about that to Senator Johnson or one of them. I can't remember. It might have been Josh Hawley, the Senator Hawley. But I said, you know what gets me? We spent $2 trillion during COVID on infrastructure when everybody supposedly was on mandates to not leave their house. I said, have y'all even bothered to look up and see if a bridge was built or any roads were done or anything like that? And they looked into it, and sure enough, they gave away, I'm not talking about billions, $2 trillion they gave to their friends for shit
like that. Solar panel
companies that no longer exist, that got $500 million, never made a single solar panel, and it just happens to be a buddy of Barack Obama's. I mean, it's kind of, the corruption, you're starting to see it come out.
Yeah.
And I think there's so much hitting us at all one time that people don't really realize how really bad it was. And these globalists aren't trying to give up. They're still censoring. They're still trying to tell you what to say. as I said in last week's show, there was a lady in there in that thing who is the highest doctor over everyone who issues oncology to anybody.
Mhm.
Right? If you get cancer and you need this, this
Yeah.
is the woman who's over all those doctors, does all the seminars, what's new, what works. That individual did not even know the first thing about mRNA vaccines. There had to be 5 doctors there who deal with it all day because all she does is sit in the office and sign documents and push papers. Well,
Yeah.
I stood right next to Senator Johnson when he went to ask her, are you lying or did you just not know? And she's like, I had no idea. Now, look, censoring you and me on deep medical issues, I can see that. Maybe not so much me because I'm a nurse and I've got medical degrees in a research history and blah, blah, blah.
Mhm.
But my point being, you can't keep it from the people who are trying to provide the solutions and the help. And we have postponed it already for too many years and more people are dying. There's no ifs, ands, or buts that we don't know for sure that people are dying from side effects from the vaccines, and it's been years now. And it's
Well,
Probably going to get worse.
we have to have studies. And as far as I know, we do have some independent studies that are going on right now to track people. Many have signed up to be in the studies. There's lots of people on X that have shown their journey from how sick they were, losing their hair, losing weight, having sores all over them, all kinds of different symptoms, which is really bizarre, heart problems, stomach problems, and some of them going to places like Japan and other countries to have transfusions and stuff done, and showing the difference from what their blood looks like before and after, things like that. So a lot of people are taking the initiative for themselves because they're tired of waiting for the science community here in our country to help them, because a lot of people like me, I don't trust the medical people anymore. I mean, I'm very leery of anything. I had a friend that had heart problems and they needed to have surgery, but they were so upset with not trusting the medical field anymore that they didn't get surgery because they were worried that when they went to sleep, someone was going to jab them up, because many people have gotten the COVID vaccine while they were sleeping. So there you go. And that's wrong. You should not ever be in fear of your life when you need surgery to have your knee done or your hip replaced or whatever, outpatient surgeries, anything, because as soon as you go get a colonoscopy, and when you're you're getting jabbed up with against your will. That's like, to me, there's no difference between that or you going to the doctor and you're pregnant when you go in, but when you leave the doctor's office, you're not pregnant anymore and you didn't even know they did it. See, that's wrong. That is wrong. And all of those doctors should be held accountable for any of those things that they've done. My point of view.
Yeah, I think the biggest problem of all of it was the mutilation of children, and of course the organ trafficking.
Yeah, I believe
These are all the same people that did all of that, and Jeffrey Epstein was involved with all of them. That's why they don't want the whole truth about the Epstein files coming out, because that guy, he was the new Dulles. Remember, I just spoke about Alan Dulles? That's what he was. He sort of took over what Dulles did. He thought the world should be a certain way, and he was going to make it that way, hell or high water. And he had people that would give him money to listen to his crazy stuff.
Well, Bill Gates has been talking publicly now after his interviews, and it sure is looking like he's got the media spouting for him. Oh, he wasn't doing anything while I was there, but on my shows, a few of my shows, I played interviews with some of the victims, and they said that Bill Gates was doing scientific experiments on them. that couple of the girls were with other girls trying to keep them calm, younger girls, while they were taking blood and doing all kinds of stuff from these girls. And so I hope that they don't just let them off with nothing, and they listen to the witnesses or the girls that were abused. But I want to play this Senator Johnson interview for you, and then you can talk about that, okay?
All right.
So let me get ready to play this for you. Oops, I gotta push play again. Watch again.
What does justice look like? What's next steps for you and all these families who have been affected by this?
First of all, we need to expose it. Listen, I appreciate News Nation covering this. The major networks, ABC, NBC, PBS, CNN, CBS had Major Garrett do one interview with me on their streaming service, but it is just radio silence. I mean, this is the biggest government scandal of my lifetime, because people died because they weren't given this information. They were permanently disabled because the government withheld information the American people had a right to know. So I appreciate you covering this. Stay tuned. I'm not giving up on this. We're going to start interviewing these people. They better not lie to us. We're going to uncover this entire plot.
Do you think this is
bigger than scandal?
The biggest scandal of your time, bigger than Watergate?
Nobody died in Watergate. Yeah. Tens of thousands of people died after March 1st from that COVID injection. Children died. Parents were convinced by these lies to give the injection to their children. So when infect their grandchildren, we know the injection didn't prevent transmission. So the lies told, we need to reveal those lies, and these people need to be exposed.
Yeah, definitely. And I wanted to you to also bring up the fact about what you found out about the autopsies and stuff too. Remember, we talked about that before the show. I'd really like for you to talk about that along with what he was just talking about.
Yeah, so if you go to Dr. Campbell's page and search his page, there is so much information available about the blood clots, from them literally showing on film how they pulled them out of people's bodies, to what they're made of, to a film exactly like the one that I sent you today about the heart and the liver. They have that for how it did the blood vessels. Let me tell you this. Let me tell you the video that I got to see. I think they did it in Northern California somewhere. You talk about scrub one. So they got a rat, and they shot the rat up with the vaccine, and then they waited about 30 minutes, and then they took x-rays with dye, and the testicles, the major organs, and the heart of this rat were glowing so bright you couldn't see the rest of the rat in there. So that's what happened when they gave it to us. They said, oh, it'll just stay in your arm and you'll build up immunity to this shit. Oh, no. Those spike proteins started recreating themselves using our cells to the billions, and then they went straight to the organs of the heart, the liver, the spleen, the pancreas, the intestines, colon, skin. I mean, and there's cancers everywhere for all that stuff. Depending on which vaccine you got, what your blood type was, and what your genetic makeup was, skin color, all those kind of things, it attacks people in different ways. It's really horrible. And now you have most of the black community says that they were targeted by AIDS, but see, they have more high blood pressure. They normally have a bigger hearts than all of this, and that's just typical in their medical histories. So they were prone to have this stuff attack their heart. Like Northern Ireland and England and Scotland, those people got it in the liver. But that's because they created alcohol, or they make the best alcohol or whatever. I know when I drank all my shit from over there. So it's been 30 years, but still, that's where I got it all from, you know. And because of that, in our generations of whatever you want to call it, evolution, whatever, you were prone to certain things. Like French and Italians were prone to the pancreatic cancers, but they have such high sugar diets. And I mean, it's really, when you look at it all on paper, it's like, how could they do this to us? And then you have to just swallow it that They did it on purpose for those 3 reasons that I told you they did it. First, she used it for what it was. Hey, man, what are you doing voting? We don't vote in China. I'll tell you who your leaders are. And then he poisons his own people. Then you have the Nancy Pelosi's and the Barack Obamas in the deep state said, man, did you see how that worked, man? We ought to get some of that over here. We might be able, blah, blah, blah. Their little globalist control game that comes in.
Mm-hmm.
They switch the elections and all that. And in the meantime, you got your Bill Gates and your Tony Fauci and all that have a God complex who are like, oh yeah, we can cure this. And then the cure is worse than the disease. And they created the disease. It's like, you cannot fucking be serious. This is really what happened.
They did it for this. Money.
Yeah, they did it for those other 2 reasons.
Every hospital, I had friends that were telling me that there was 2 brothers and their dad, and their dad was taking care of the mother, and she had one of those deep diseases that slowly eats away at you, and you slowly die. I can't remember the name of it, but she had that, whatever it was. And one brother lived states and states away, and one lived 1 state away. So the dad said, she's not doing well. We're going to put her in the hospital. So the one closest son came. Okay. The one that was farther away, by the time he got there, she had passed. And they were telling them that he couldn't go in the hospital room and stuff because she died from COVID. He goes, what are you talking about? She didn't have COVID. She had this, whatever the other disease was. And they said, no, she had COVID. He had to get a lawyer and take him to court to get possession of his mother's body and prove that she didn't have COVID, because every hospital got paid a certain amount of money for every person they wrote down that died from COVID. People,
30,000
car accidents were being put in as dying from COVID. Okay. When I went, I was sick. I had a nausea, but it wasn't during COVID. It was like a year and a half ago. It was after the whole thing was, pretty much died down, but everybody was, getting jabs or whatever. And I was nauseous, but I didn't have a fever or anything. I just was nauseated. So finally I went to the doctor and at the emergency room, because I was starting to get really bad dehydrated because I couldn't keep anything down. And the doctor wouldn't even come in the room with me. He stood at the door with a mask on, and he's like, I think you have COVID. And I said, I don't have a fever. And they took my blood pressure. The nurses did. And they said, well, we're going to take a COVID test on you. I said, well, you're not sticking nothing up my nose. So they took my blood, and I watched them, and they came back later and they said, you don't have COVID. And I said, I told you. Okay, because that's all they want. That's all they push everybody. Nobody died from the flu the whole time COVID was out. Everybody died from COVID. Okay, that's impossible. You can't get rid of every disease in the world and only have COVID. You see, but that's what happened during those months. Nobody died from cancer. Nobody died from car accidents. Nobody died from dog attacks. Nobody died from gunshots. Everybody died from COVID. And that right there was a warning flag. And that's why, it's just scary. The fact, and I still see people driving in their car by themselves wearing a mask.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Yep. But I want to share this thing with you. This is that, I think it's this woman. No, is it that one? Hold on, give me a second. Here it is. This one. This is a former YouTube CEO, Susan, I can't pronounce her last name, Wojciechowski or something like that. She aims to pull over 1 million COVID videos to silence anti-vaxxers. Okay. So anytime I mentioned it or said anything about it, even played the Surgeon General of Florida, I was told I was spreading medical misinformation, or I'm a cyber bully, or whatever else. They gave me all these things that they said the reason why they were taking my video down. And it was because of this person right here. She didn't like the fact that I was sharing the Surgeon General of Florida because he had disagreed with what she was saying. She's not a Surgeon General. She wasn't. She didn't have any medical profession, but yet she was telling other people, you can't do this, you can't do that, or share information with someone simply because she didn't agree with it. See, she, I bet, hurt millions of people just because of her actions, because she felt she was better than anyone else. And I think she's dead now. I think she died, didn't she?
I don't have any idea.
Well, I'll have to look it up while we're playing the video, but I'm going to play this for you. It's only a minute and a half, but she's pathetic.
When it comes to vaccines, vaccine hesitancy, videos that cause a public health risk, where do you want to see?
Well, first of all, we've taken responsibility very seriously. It's been one of my top priorities. And with regard to COVID and with regard to vaccines, that has been a top priority for us. And we have a number of different ways that we address that. So first of all, we want to make sure that if there's information that violates our policies, we came up with 10 different policies around COVID. Then if that's a violation of policies, then that's something that we'll remove. We removed over 1 million videos associated with COVID.
Have you talked to the Biden administration at all about vaccine hesitancy or vaccine misinformation?
Well, we did an event actually with the Biden administration, including President Biden himself, with a number of creators, Fauci as well.
I wonder if there's anything that you see in, the way that anti-vaxxers behave on the platform, if there are any data or insights there that could be helpful to people understand where they're coming from.
I mean, we try to understand what are the different ways that we can break through. So we talked about in this campaign that we did about getting back to the things that you love. So what we really tried to do was get not just from the experts, but also people that were not experts, but who were explaining, like, why did they take the vaccine? Why was that relevant for them? And what was their thought process?
So basically, she said that they talked to experts. As long as the experts agreed with them, they were allowed to speak. But anyone else, they said F you and got rid of them. So anyone that said anything, so Chris must be having some technical difficulties because it keeps bouncing in and out, but he'll be back. But the thing is, it says on here, I looked it up. It says that she died August 9th, 2024 at the age of 56 after she had non-small cell lung cancer. So, it's sad. I don't know if she took the jab. I'm pretty sure she probably did. So she was an advocate for it. And it's really sad that she's not here to see the stuff that's coming out now. And to me, that's really sad. I feel bad because so many people that were advocates about taking people like me and putting me in a camp and denying me medical help, go to the doctor or anything, saying that they would let me die because I don't deserve medical care because I didn't get the shot and that I was putting people at risk. Well, I asked them, I said, how am I putting you at risk if I'm not sick and you've already got jabbed up? You've had multiple boosters or whatever. How am I the bad person? See, that's what you would think, that I would be the one that would be at risk. And I was told by one of my doctors, one of my allergy doctors, that he said that he had found out that from Israel, that some information came out from Israel about shedding COVID vaccine shedding, to try to stay away from anyone I knew that had a recent vaccine, because they're shed for up to 6 to 12 weeks or whatever, depending on whatever. So I just avoided people, not because I was worried about getting COVID, but because I was worried about what their jabs were going to do to me. You see what I mean? So I hate to say that, but I wasn't trying to be mean. That's one reason when I first started talking to Dawn, I was like, wow, this woman is brave and she's trying to get down to the nitty gritty. And with people telling her she's crazy every day, she's a warrior. And with people like her, she's saving people's lives simply because she gave a shit. And she got treated like dirt because of it. And so did you. So did I. We've all been treated bad simply because we disagreed with the supposed people that know it all. And those people, what was really weird to me was the fact that I found out by digging around that nobody in the post office was made to take it. And there's a government agency, but they forced our soldiers to have it, or they were kicked out of the military. See, Little things like that don't make sense. If there's a real illness and it's killing people and they need this shot to stop it, everyone would have to take it. The president all the way down to the pee-wee people in the streets. But here we are letting people walk over the border that never been vaccinated. None of it made any sense. I was like, they think we're a bunch of buffoons that just go walk around sucking up people's bullshit and living it. Yum, yum, yum. I love bullshit. I mean, that's what they treated us like. And I was looking around going, what happened to our country? Where did all these people come from that are willing to just walk around behind other people and lick up their shit just because they're talking about something that sounds like, oh yeah, that news people or that news people. And it was like a broken record. No matter how many channels you changed, they were all saying the same stupid shit. And it was like, I just quit watching them. I just quit watching any news because they were all full of it. Sorry, I went on a rant. But you can go ahead now, since I played that woman lying and covering it up. And now she's no longer here to cover up anything else. She passed away from cancer.
Yeah,
And,
those statements were all made in congressional hearings about the censoring and taking videos down and all of that stuff.
Mhm.
And they admitted in there they were being told what to take down.
yeah.
Hmm.
That one guy, the lead guy from Facebook, I always forget his name. I can never remember his name. The lizard guy, he gets a bowl haircut when he's a billionaire. He has a $300 billion yacht and he has a bowl cut. It just cracks me up. I can't remember what his name is though. But I played it on the shit show a couple of times, a video that he put out from one of his meetings, the ones where you can see each other, video calls or whatever, with his higher ups in his company. Someone leaked the video and he's telling his people, don't get the shot because we don't know what the long-term effects are going to be. And we don't know whether it alters your DNA. So he knew a shit ton, a lot about the vaccine and nobody's even gotten it yet. He's telling his own people because he's afraid, well, if I shoot up all my employees, who am I going to have left? You see what I mean?
Do you know where his wife is from?
Probably China.
You got it. Do you want to know what she was a part of?
The Communist Party? I don't know.
The COVID vaccine development.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
he knew everything there was to know.
I guarantee he didn't get it. See, that's another thing. I wish there was a test or a swab, just a swab. So on national TV, we could put every congressman and every senator, every governor, every single person in government has to get on national TV and do the swab so we can see whether or not they had the vaccine. I guarantee half of them never got it.
No, I mean, Congress didn't have to take it.
Yeah, they were exempt.
Yeah, they were exempt, right? Here's what I say. I say all of them have to get every single vaccine and every rollout and just give it all to them. And then that's the same thing that they did to us. It's like, hey, y'all are the ones who voted for that. Y'all are the ones who told us to shut our mouth and do what they told us to do. Y'all are the ones who hired Tony Fauci, literally the man who made this biological weapon. They gave him all the authority to talk about what was real and what wasn't real. They have 500 of those biological weapons. I've seen the list.
I believe it.
Yes, enough to make you want to scream.
Yeah, I have one more video I want to share because it's another video that shows the links. Okay, because a lot of people think, well, you had this group doing this and this group. No, it was not just one group. It was a bunch of groups all working together for the overall effect that they needed, okay? Because you had to censor the people. You had to keep the people from talking to each other. So that means you can't go to church, but you can go to the strip bar, because if you're at the strip bar and you're drinking and looking at boobies and ass, you're not talking to each other, right? But in church, everybody's talking. Everybody's sharing in Sunday school. So that's why they didn't want you to go to church, okay? Because
think about the riots They weren't just going to bars. They were rioting and burning major cities down. Then they would go to bars.
Yeah. I know.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. It was ridiculous the whole way they did it. And the thing is, you could go to a restaurant, some restaurants, okay, but you couldn't go to the movie theaters. So our movie theaters, pretty much bunches of them, half of them are gone. Half of them are gone. That'll never be back because people started watching TV and streaming movies. Okay,
Yep.
they weren't the movie
Binge
theaters.
watching on Hulu. It became like a drug to people. They still do it.
Yeah, they're still doing it. And because once you do something for a certain amount of days, it becomes a habit. Okay, just like
Right.
working out. If you go and you start working out every week, every 4 days or twice a week or whatever, and you do it every 4 days for a whole month, it gets harder and harder to say no. But as soon as you sit on your ass for 2 weeks, it gets harder and harder to say yes.
That's
So
right.
anything you do for a certain amount of time will become a habit, just like smoking. It's not so much once you get the nicotine out of your system, right? Because I used to smoke many years ago. It takes 48 hours to get the nicotine out, but it's this habit, it's the part to break. The habit of holding a cigarette, the way you feel when the endorphins go up because you're going to have your first cigarette with your cup of coffee or a drink or whatever it is. It's all has to do with not just the chemicals, it was the pattern that you give yourself. Like every morning I get up and I make my bed. Every morning I make myself make my bed. It's a habit now, but guess what? I feel like I accomplished something. My dad always said, if you make your bed, you've already accomplished one thing. So it's easier to accomplish the next goal and the next goal because you accomplished that. So when you go to bed tonight, you got a nice clean bed ready to get in. And I don't know. I think he was right. I think he's a very smart man. But what's sad is you had different.
Let me just say one thing real quick. You know about the nicotine, right? Nicotine prevents the spike protein from reproducing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
That's why I won't quit.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but I quit many, many years before even COVID was thought of, I don't think.
Yeah, I went 13 years without smoking. I started smoking after COVID because they said nicotine will prevent the spike protein from reproducing. And I was one of the people who was put to sleep for surgery. I had a major knee surgery on my left knee, and they gave it to me. And when I argued with the doctor after I woke up from surgery, he said, it's a hospital mandate. I'm like, I didn't sign anything. He said, oh, yeah, you did. When you said we could put you to sleep, that meant your life was in our hands. I'm like, oh, my God, you can't be serious. This guy was a friend of mine.
Every hospital that did that should be sued.
Every one of them.
Every single one of them. But I want to share this because this shows the lengths that these big giant corporations that are in bed with the pharmaceutical companies, with all the other big corporations where they're going to make more of this, right? Because you are a dweeb, I'm a dweeb, we're worthless, and we're expendable because all they'll do is open the border and bring in more of us dweebs to do whatever they need done, right? So that's why this is important. And this is one of the reasons why a lot of this stuff has happened because we were censored. I already showed you the CEO of YouTube and her own interview talking about how she took down your video. If you posted something and you had a bad reaction or you had a problem, they took it down because they didn't want other people to see what you have to say. Because they know their platform was big and it had millions and millions and millions of people looking up information to find it. And all they could find was, yeah, I did it. Get the shot. Rah, rah, rah. That's all you could find. There was nothing else on there because they made sure that there was nothing else on there. They had AI 24/7 running it all. So you would not be able to find anything on their networks and not even in Google. Okay. Because Google owns YouTube. So here we go. I'm going to share this so you guys can watch this. Now I've done this a couple times because it's important. This man, Zach Voorhees, worked for Google for over 8 years. And I think he did some stuff with the console for Xbox and some other things, but he talks about that. The thing is that he came out through Project Veritas, and this was before Veritas was shut down, when they kicked the CEO, the owner, the guy that started it, off his own show, right? Took him out of it. These people are powerful. They'll do anything to get rid of you, to shut you up. But I'm going to play this because this is testimony from this young man. This is in Texas, the state of Texas. It's sad that Texas and Florida pretty much have to start anything before anything can get done, because we have nothing. A bunch of senators and congressmen that are lame asses that it can't even pass the SAVE Act. So here we go. I'm going to play this for you.
Broad term that somewhat amorphous, but I think you know what we mean in general. Large entities which have a tremendous reach have a lot of influence, and this has been a subject of legislation here in a number of areas, in Texas and many states. And so taking a look at the influence of big tech, large internet companies have a lot of power, and the power that they have over the information, what information they allow us to see, how they shape the information that they allow us to see, what they choose to withhold, what they choose to promote. It's obviously tremendous. And in an election year like this one, I guess there's never been an election year like this one, but what's underway, folks are concerned as we go into the fall election, big issues at stake. And so that's why the Lieutenant Governor has charged this committee with looking at these issues. So we're going to call up our first invited witnesses. Voorhees, introduce yourself and give us your testimony. Welcome.
Hi, my name is Zach Voorhees. And thank you, Chairman Hughes, Vice Chair Paxton, and members of the committee for listening to my story. I was a Google engineer for 8.5 years and a whistleblower against Google in 2019, risking my career and livelihood to warn the public about Google's plans to meddle in the 2020 election using a program called Machine Learning Fairness. This disclosure was done through Project Veritas. I will briefly mention my background. I graduated in 2006 from the University of Oregon with a triple major in computer science, psychology, and mathematics. I worked on Star Wars and Indiana Jones games before being hired at Google. If you've used Google Earth or YouTube for game consoles, you're familiar with my work. Let's talk about Google's censorship AI system called Machine Learning Fairness. I discovered this program while searching for information about Project Dragonfly, probably a fake project meant to misdirect the public. Make no mistake, Machine Learning Fairness is and has always been the real censorship program, and it is massive. The goal was to, quote, program the public to align with Google's corporate values. Those are their words. This was a 4-step process laid out by the AI ethicist Margaret Mitchell, who has since been fired for unethical behavior. Step 1, training data are collected and classified. Step 2, algorithms are programmed. Step 3, media are filtered, ranked, aggregated, or generated. And step 4, people like us are programmed. That's a direct quote from their slides. It wasn't just in one slide, it was littered throughout the company. This process was repeated in a cycle, with step 4 feeding back into step 1. This sounds like something out of a conspiracy theory, but it's real. Google rewrote their news algorithms, specifically trained on mainstream media stories targeting Trump, such as his fight with Comey. Systems like real-time events, real-time boost, and HiveMind assign higher amplification scores to stories related to targeting Trump. Google's internal documents revealed their stance on, quote, algorithmic unfairness. They stated that even factually accurate representations could be considered algorithmically unfair and removed. And let me just quote them. For example, imagine a Google image query for CEOs shows predominantly men. Even if it were a factually accurate representation of the world, it would be algorithmic unfairness. In some cases, it may be appropriate to take no action if the system accurately reflects current reality, while in other cases, it may be desirable to consider how we might help society reach a more fair and equitable state via either product intervention or broader corporate social responsibility efforts, end quote. Let's talk about news ranking. News sites that supported Democrats were ranked with the highest quality and trustworthiness. Here's a partial list. Wall Street Journal, 8.53. CBS News, 6.57. CNN, 6.0. Fox News, 5.2. Russia Today, 4.57. The Young Turks, 2.53. Alex Jones Network, negative 1.56. At the bottom of the list is Next News Network at negative 3.35. Let me reiterate, the foreign propaganda outlet Russia Today was scored 7 points higher than the Next News Network, one of the top YouTube news networks in America. Since my disclosure, Next News Network has been permanently demonetized and will soon be bankrupted. These sound more like the actions we'd expect from a Russian propaganda complex. But shockingly, it's the actions of Google. At YouTube, I observed 40 different AIs classifying videos under various labels. Influencers like Dave Rubin were labeled as right-wing news outlets with fake news labels. The justification was always user safety. But in 2020, this system of censorship went so far as to ban mentions of vitamin C, turmeric, and vitamin D during the pandemic. Despite public statements to Congress, Google has many blacklists, some literally named blacklist.txt. For example, the 8th Amendment of the Constitution of Ireland, shockingly, was blacklisted from YouTube. We need to investigate this, and we need to put a stop to what's going on, and the public needs to know what's going on. There are a few systems that are out there. One of them, my colleague, Dr. Robert Epstein, with his TechWatch project, is the only one that I know that is auditing Google and showing the bias that they're having. And I yield the rest of my time, and thank you for allowing me to speak.
What recommendations would you have for this legislature to take action to address the issues you address?
Can I go ahead and speak? My recommendation is subpoenas would be filed against Google for any documents that have the name blacklist.txt related to Google, YouTube, and their news search corpuses. I would also ask that you subpoena their documents related to rankings of media outlets. I've provided a supplemental showing a slide deck including such a list that is 4 years old. It's a bit dated. The open question now is, what are the updated rankings of the media outlets that they have? Also, machine learning fairness is so huge. I don't even know how you would even swallow that. But if you could do, ask them, file a subpoena, ask them for documents related to machine learning fairness. And that is going to be such a huge bombshell that it just needs to get into the public disclosure. So it's those three things: machine learning fairness, blacklists, and their media rankings is the start of the entire thing.
Well, there you go. That's what I wanted to share, because there you go, right there. He came out in 2019. Look how much time has gone by since then. And they've been able to get away with it all this time. And any platform that uses Google, and remember what they did to Parler, Google, I think it was Twitter at the time, and YouTube, pulled the servers because they were skyrocketing. They were just, everybody and their brother that wanted freedom and be able to say freedom of speech, basically, to be able to post and say what they wanted, was flocking to Parler. I loved it. I was one of the first ones on there when everybody else was having to wait in line to get on there. And I just thought it was great. It was so great. Everyone was wonderful. I mean, there was so much information. It was so easy to find things. I met some really nice people on there. And then when Google took their server away and they shut down and then they came back, it wasn't the same anymore. It was like, I'm not even going to mention what it turned into, but it wasn't good. It was worse than Twitter, 10 times worse. If you thought it was bad and you've been kicked off, because I'm on my 4th account on X. So, but it was Twitter before. The one I have right now, Janet from Another Planet, I still have, but it's sad. These people control all the media, basically, but not the one that's in that My Pillow guy started. I can't write news network, and there's a couple other ones, ONE or whatever, and a few others that you can actually get information. But on searching, I'm going to use DuckDuckGo and others, but guess what? Most of them have to go through Google servers. So if you post anything on the internet or anything and Google gets it, they know, they'll find out anything they want about you, and there's nothing you can do about it. So if you're online at all in any capacity, or you use a debit card, or you do any of these things, they already have all your information. They know everything. So because they've had many, many years, they are so far ahead. And what's sad though is, if you can't find what you're looking for, keep looking, ask other people. And guess what? You can also go to the library. There's medical journals in libraries, there's dictionaries, there's encyclopedias that still have stuff in that Google has been taking off the internet, so you can't find it. So there's many ways to find the information you want. Just don't give up, and don't let a few companies that own the internet basically keep you from being able to find out the information that you want. Okay, I'll shut up now. But go ahead. What do you think about this guy, this Zach Vorhies, what he had to say?
Yeah, I would say that all of that started back in 2009, because there was a executive order written. Originally, it was written Executive Order 114.
Mm-hmm.
But at that time, I would read every single executive order. They were coming out in record pace in 2009. I think you'll remember who got inaugurated that year. So I came across 114. Well, I immediately gave it to some of my superiors. And the next thing you know, when you try to look it up, it was Executive Order 2389, I think. And what it said was, no one could put anything on any information show, news media, whatever, unless it was approved by POTUS. Well, POTUS is president of the United States. And if you look at Obama's cabinet during that time, 7 of the 14 cabinet members were married to or were formerly CEOs and presidents of major news organizations. Can't make that shit up. You can ask your whatever AI you use, play that back and ask them if it's true, and I guarantee you every bit of that comes back true.
Oh yeah, I believe you.
So that executive order was what was used when they decided to go after General Flynn and then say Trump was trying to commit treason with Russia.
Yeah, because it was during Obama's administration when he did the modernization of the Smith-Mundt Act, to where they said that our media could spread propaganda without being held accountable. So we need this Congress, which has been lame ass. They haven't even gotten all of Trump's people up there. And how many people has Trump been able to put on the bench on his own during recess? 0. You know why? Because they go in and go bing to stop him. So if they really cared about America first and that's what they ran on, why do they keep stopping him from being able to appoint his own judges when they're at recess? They don't want him to. They don't want him to accomplish the goals that they ran on his coattails. So they're sabotaging him. And look, we got a little over 2 years maybe left.
Let me tell you what I got to say about that. After what we just saw with them basically flipping an entire election in California, using the COVID rules that they don't want to take away. Okay, the whole reason they said you could vote by mail is because there was a shutdown. There was mandates. It was a lockdown. You couldn't go vote.
For weeks, not
Right.
one day. It's
Right.
election day.
So who are we going to, how can we get the people that talk like you and I do, and the thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands and millions who all agree with everything we're saying, but we're powerless over it? Well, I guarantee you, until we get our vote back, which is past the SAVE Act, right now, we're right back full circle. Our politicians are bought and paid for. And the ones that aren't bought and paid for are in Epstein videos. And if you don't believe what I'm saying is true, you're not paying attention.
Yeah,
How
they
did
have.
they- Yeah,
you
they
can get on
turned
there
it-
right
they-
now. You can get
That's
on the
right.
Epstein files right now and go look at some horrendous documentation if you're interested. It's hundreds of thousands of documents. Now it's going to take you a while, but it's up there right now. Trump put all of that shit on the web, and you can go watch it.
Yeah, he's trying to expose all this for the American people. He's risking his
People
life.
bitch and
How many
moan,
times have they
and
tried to
won't even
take
go
him
look
out?
at it. I know.
Look how many times they tried to take him out.
I know. But the thing is, the people that bitch the most, the Epstein files, the Epstein files. I'm like, how many of the videos have you listened to the women? You know, the documentaries that these women have made? None. Well, why not? I thought you cared about them. See, they don't even want to listen to the victims, what they're saying. And they've all testified or gone on these documentaries and said that they never saw Trump at Epstein Island. You know, that they never saw him like they saw, what was it, the lead singer of the Rolling Stones and Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton and tons of other people, name after name after name. And you can go to the website and look. But people don't want to because they don't want to be proven wrong. They just want to keep being able to spout the same shit over and over and over again, and it never ends. But then we got a president right now that saved more kids from sex trafficking and women and young men from sex trafficking since he's been president again this time than Biden or Obama did. But yet nobody's talking about that. You know, those are kids. Those are pedophiles attacking these kids. They're arresting people left and right. I play it all the time on my shows and on my timelines and share it on my all my channels about all the people that have been arrested for trafficking and porn, child porn, all that stuff. I got something tomorrow night I'm going to share that they came out with people that have infants on it and stuff like that. And they're doing it right now. And they're talking about, they do live interviews and press releases, but where is it on the news? They don't want to share because all these people that are standing there dragging their feet, not wanting the judges to be put in or any of this stuff, they're in on all this. They're making money off all the trafficking or something, because why else wouldn't they pass the SAVE Act unless they're making money off of the way things are right now? They don't want to fix it because they are in bed with whoever is trying to keep you from being able to vote, you know, and stuff like that.
Senator Johnson and the Speaker of the House and James Comer and a few of them did a movie release yesterday in Washington. And the name of the movie is Duty to Disobey. And it was done during a whole child advocacy all-day thing. I was supposed to go, but they got the roads all closed up there for the wrestling event coming up, and I just didn't feel like my knees are really bad. I can't just walk anywhere. I have to really.
You have to wear like special braces or things like that. Well, you need to do all those things. You need to make sure you keep doing whatever it is your doctor tells you to do, so that you can.
Not everything. I couldn't resist. The damn doctor that did the surgery on my knee gave me a vaccine when I told him not to.
Oh, yeah, I'd be getting a different doctor.
I don't know if I'm going or not. I've been taking collagen peptides and anti-inflammatory herbs.
See, I can take ibuprofen, so I take all kinds of vitamins to try to help me. Because I remember I hurt my knee I broke the clutch off of a motorcycle with my knee when I was 16. So I have problems with my knee, and that's why I exercise. Because since I started doing more regular routine, my knee doesn't hurt as bad. But one day, I'm going to start having swelling and all those things, and I have to be able to control it somehow because I can't take ibuprofen.
Well, about a year ago, I decided I would start playing golf again because I got too many screws and rods and plates and metal vertebrae from neck surgery and all. So I thought, well, I'll just go play golf because it's kind of, you turn and twist and you're limber. And if you're really hitting it right, you swing really easy, which I've always been lucky to do that. So when I first started riding a cart, I would play 9 holes and couldn't get out of bed for 3 days. And now I'm playing 18 holes 4 times a week and can't wait to get to the course. So I'm doing all my work in the middle of the night, and then I go play golf in the cool of the morning, and then come back and do stuff like what we're doing right now. And it feels so good to be out doing that again. Now my knee hurts like hell. I can't walk 18. I can't even walk 9. But I am able to get out.
Carts?
Yeah, I use a cart.
Okay. Well, good.
Yeah, but just the walking from the cart to my ball, and they got geo fencing so you can't go in certain places, and sometimes you have to walk a long way. But I'm saying, I'm agreeing with what you said. If you exercise, whatever you can do, whatever you're able to do, that's what you should do. And then diet and herbs and minerals, vitamins, those things will turn your life around. A year ago, I was in really bad shape, and I finally just had to get over it. And it was a hell of a fight getting through it. But I'm not just playing golf. I'm playing real good. I'm breaking par now again and having a lot of fun with it, meeting new kids and other older people like me and having fun with that. I love the social part of golf.
Yeah, this is my social life right here. I don't go anywhere anymore. I don't go to clubs. I don't go anywhere. I'm home every weekend, and this is what I do. I'm online. I'm playing Dungeons and Dragons, or I'm doing movie reviews or whatever. And this is where my friends are, and this is what I do. Because and some people don't like me, so they hate me. So, but that's just the way it is. But
there's not everybody likes me, and I don't. That's not my problem.
It's a you problem, not a me problem. Yeah, I say that to people all the time. But is there anything else you want to add to the stuff before the next time we get to have another discussion about what's going to be up on C-SPAN? I can't wait. I'm so excited about that.
Oh, yeah.
About it.
I would suggest everybody go watch that. There were 2 people in there that had no idea what they were doing. They were invited by Dick Blumenthal. And neither one of them wasn't medical at all. And the other one was completely uninformed and brainwashed. But the real doctors who work in the emergency rooms and done the research and done all of this stuff, the actual doctors, once they told the truth, they thought, well, yeah, maybe, golly, I can't believe all that's true. It's like, yeah, all of that's true. People from 4 different parts of the world doing 4 different things, never met each other, all came in and said the same thing. Chances are that's true.
Yeah, definitely. But I'm sharing Dr. John Campbell's channel again. It's in the chat, but I'm sharing it because if you get your chance, go check out this video. It's very, very informative. It tells you, I can't believe it's still up. I'm shocked that YouTube hasn't taken it down or put some big warnings all over it and stuff. But he knows what he's talking about, and
we're not going to mess with Dr. Campbell. I mean, after I got canceled and all this other stuff, but there was a point where Elon helped me, and I literally went from having, after 9 years on Twitter, he bought X, and I went from having 8 followers to having hundreds of thousands of them in just about 3 or 4 months. And then the same thing happened for my Facebook account. But the reason was because Elon challenged me in direct messages at things I was saying in spaces. And I'm like, why do you think I'm lying? I have no reason to lie. So we got to know each other through DMs. And then towards the end of that, he's like, well, you've convinced me. I'm like, yeah, everything I say, I don't say anything that isn't true. Because if I do, then I got to defend it. I'm not trying to defend it. I'll lay the facts down and I'll put the receipts on the table. And if you can't see that and get it, well, then you're just stupid. And that's not my problem. If other people are stupid and want to keep falling for all this shit, I feel sorry for them, but that's not me. Maybe that's that Native American heritage like you. You know, most of the people who do what we do are basically hate the country. You know, it's like maybe AOC hates the country, this and that because of what they say. No, they love the country because they're milking it out of all the money and they're controlling us like crazy. When in fact, what we need is people, good, honest people who can run for office. But until we have a fair election system, they're just going to keep putting the people they want in. It's obvious they're doing it in real time in California.
But they don't even have to hide it anymore.
Yeah, they don't even hide it anymore.
They just do it because they get away with it.
I mean, you know somebody comes to the president, right? First off, you're the president. If you were the richest man in the world, that's one thing, but you're the president now. And you're one of the richest men in the world. And everybody wants to call you up and go, oh, you're not going to believe what I heard. Oh, you're not. And somebody called Trump and said, man, they're in Skid Row paying people for votes. That is a felony. That takes away every vote, gets you about 20 years in jail, 3 to 25 or whatever it is. It's a major crime against all of us. It's a crime against all of us. So Trump says, yeah, they're cheating in California. So you have any proof? He didn't say anything. And damn, if you couldn't see videos today that they're interviewing people in Skid Row. One person got $2. Another guy bragged because he got $4, and another person got $5, but they were giving them drugs. They were giving them drugs to do, man.
And foot massages and neck massages and all kinds of stuff. Yeah, I saw a bunch of those videos. I shared a bunch of those videos.
Man. Yeah, they'll do it right in our face now. Like, yeah, well, that's just how we do things over
but
here.
Look who the governor is.
Oh, that's
so,
a whole.
I mean, what kills me though is the fact that all these people during those fires, because they had no water, because they have bad forestry management, they have bad management in their cities because they have crappy mayors that rather go on vacations and worry about whether their people actually have water going to their fire hydrants, right? And then after their houses all burned down, and then Trump goes there and he has a big giant gathering and the people are asking questions and he's like, I want all this. I signed an executive order so that you guys can get back out there, start building. And the mayor still doesn't let them. And she just got all those votes. Now we know why, don't we? But it doesn't change the fact that she's not going to be mayor again simply because the people of California aren't doing anything about it.
Yeah, you know how bad that water situation was. Listen to them. They got $2 billion from, or 1.9 billion. I don't want to make it 100 million's a lot. 100 billion, I mean, but they got 2 billion, 1.9 billion to build new reservoirs so that they would have more water available in California, right? Yeah. And before the fire, you know what Newsom did? He used 250 million of it to blow up 5 dams for some fish that they were trying to save. I'm like, they have a way to do that. You take tubes and put them up there and you put the water in the tubes, you make steps, and the trout and the salmon go up the tubes. No, they blew up and lost, I think it was 250 million cubic feet of water.
Yeah,
from their water.
and their train that they were supposed to do.
Oh, that's a total bullshit deal.
I know, it's just like it's all of it's bullshit. I mean, all of it. That one thing that I shared on one of my shows about the fraud. It's I think it's something lots of fraud or whatever the name of it is, about the one county. I think it was LA County had over what was it, 100 million or something like that in fraud just in that one county for Medicaid fraud. So. I mean, they're good at it. These people have been doing it for so long. They're so good at crossing the T's and dotting the I's and making sure the right signatures on what paper so that they don't look at it. So that this goes over that desk and that desk and that desk, unless somebody actually goes to the residence and sees that, oh, this isn't a nursing home. This is just a parking lot, that kind of stuff.
Let me tell you how long that Medicaid crap's been going on, okay? We had a congressman here, I think his last name was Harrison, and somebody came to me from the DA's office. Well, actually, it was the brother of the DA's secretary came to me, and he had lost a bunch of psychology businesses up in Atlanta because he would hire psychologists to open these psychology practices, but he wasn't a doctor, so they made him shut down all of his business. Well, he had a vendetta, right? And he comes to me and he goes, dude, I need you to help me do something. I said, what? He said, they're over at the Community Mental Health Center, CMHC. It's where all the like private public service mental health, and it's connected to the YDC Youth Development Center, which is the jail for kids and blah, blah. So I go in there and my job is to use a cross-platform interface programming, which is API, so that the databases from the service of the hospital units, there was like different wards, and inpatient and outpatient and all that. And then there was the people who were taking care of the money. It took me, they wouldn't even let me like touch the computers. I said, do you realize what they hired me for? You got to get out of the way. So I snuck around and did it anyway. I would climb up in attics and put recording devices and things that would send the internet, everything they did to my house. I put them on each different one. And these people were billing Medicaid from the service units. And then they were sending the information over to the corporate part of it. And they were billing again. Man, this dude got like 20 years in jail. And my dad was 5th group Green Beret. There was this guy, Mike Harrison, was in there, and he was 5th group Green Beret. And I'm like, I can't believe this guy. They're supposed to be the best of the best of the best, right? And this guy knew the whole thing was going on. And sometimes I would be talking to him and say, Mike, it'd be a good idea, man, if you would help me do what I'm doing. And he kept laughing. Hi, who are you? What are you? Blah, blah, blah. And the day we went in there to serve the warrants, he literally died in his chair. Didn't get up, didn't take a sip of coffee, nothing. They put the warrant on his desk. He read it, and his eyes went up in his head, and he fell back in his chair because he couldn't believe I had been telling him the whole time. They got, I'm talking in the millions and millions of dollars. That was 2003, Janet. That was 2003. Now, how much money you think they got out of there since then?
A lot.
A lot.
And that's why once we start seeing, like each year that goes by without that fraud money continually go out and more money starts to go back up again, that's when people are going to say, where in the hell is all this money coming from? Because it's not being spent on shit that's not supposed to be spent on. So, but the thing is, that's what scares me about, these elections coming up, that we've got to all
of my political science teachers in college, all of them had a joke at the beginning of a class saying that Congress and the Senate and the president and all that is the only people in the world who can convince you they're saving you money and then take your money and blow it on something useless.
Well,
I mean, that's the deal. Tax us, spend it on bullshit, give it to their friends, let people build buildings that don't, there's whole neighborhoods right now all over this country, brand new houses finished, ready to be moved in, that they will not pass for inspection because these stupid people went out and hired all these illegal immigrants that didn't build anything by code. They took shortcuts, did this, did that. I'm talking about in the tens of thousands, neighborhoods, whole neighborhoods, nobody can buy one house in.
Well,
that they were greasing each other's
all those
palms.
people will all lose their licenses and they won't be able to get a new one.
Yeah, I mean, maybe they will, maybe they won't. Apparently, we can't even control a vote in California.
Mm-hmm. Well,
they're going to say states' rights. Okay, I don't care what anybody says at all about anything. What happened in the Civil War, in between the late 1850s and the breakout of the Civil War, was because states wanted to be able to do whatever they wanted to do and screw the federal government. It was about states' rights. There were people who wanted to control the cotton industry and all of that from New York. I mean, they're paying all this money to the South. They get textiles, everything's, cotton, tobacco, and all this going back to Europe. Well, the people up north that ran the financial markets in New York were furious, and they wanted to control the money. Now, if you go back and you look at 2009, I remember not long after Obama was in office, that they brought in the CEOs of the major oil companies. And so Maxine Waters, it was her turn to question someone, and I think she might even have been chair in the meeting. And she looked at the 4 most powerful men in the petroleum industry, and she said, we are going to take your businesses from you, and we're going to control your profits.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's what they did. And then they gave all the oil business to Iran and Venezuela and all these other countries, basically wanting to destroy us. I mean, we dance around the reality in all of our talks, no matter what angle we're talking about. If it's about relationships breaking down, the bullshit with social media and everything, society is literally breaking down. When people don't realize this was planned by people to do on purpose to destroy this nation, and people don't want to believe it's true, even though they can see it happening right in front of their face. I don't understand a liberal mind. I do not understand it. I've been vomiting over things I've been hearing people saying about this Carmela Anthony case. You stab somebody to death and it's the victim's fault. Bullshit. And these are people, elected officials in our Congress, are literally defending a murder that goes across the board. Okay, my daughter went to the same nursing school. My daughter was in the same medical school as Laken Riley. And Laken got transferred to UGA up in Athens for a couple of courses right when my daughter graduated and went to run the portable nuclear med at a local hospital. That could have been my daughter. And they defended the man who slaughtered this girl in cold blood, bludgeoning her head with a granite stone. I mean, I don't know how you can go that far. But there are people who literally will parade in the streets for $1,000 from George Soros. He buys them a bus ticket and all this, and they come. There's other billionaires involved in it. One of them lives in China right now. Mm-hmm. Who's paying for these riots?
Yeah, I
back
saw that.
Back in when I got trained, they would send a young dude like me, and they say, "Go take care of that." You never hear that dude's name or see his shit ever again. And we don't have that kind of stand for America. The red on the flag is for blood. Make sure you don't get any of yours spilt trying to take the flag down, because the rules are it's a flag. We have a military. We got a militia. Every American who owns a gun is militia. That's what it says in the Constitution. We will have a well-armed militia. Well, that's us. It's us. Yeah, it's me. That's right. It's you. It's me. It's everybody with a gun. And these clowns, you know, we're going to take your guns. We're going to take your children. We're going to screw your schools up and brainwash everybody. If you think all of that happened by accident, and I mean anybody thinks all that happened by accident, you have missed the entire show. You have seen a couple of trees, but you never saw the forest. Because this was all an operation. And you can name the people behind it. Basically, James Comey, John Brennan, and Barack Obama on December the 9th, when they decided to do Operation whatever it was on Donald Trump and did everything they did to General Flynn and all that, that was basically showing you who planned it all and who did it. And now they're talking about that in Congress, go, oh, look what we found out. Well, I'll be damned, man. I don't know. I'm pretty sure in December of 2015, or 16, I saw that going on. I saw Barack Obama go on late night television and say, well, if there was any way I could stay in office, I would certainly do it. And then he did it. It's like, oh my God, you can't be serious. So Trump had no political power when his first time in office. And then when Biden came in, we all know Biden wasn't running anything. So this has been going on for a really, really long time. And the fact that people don't want to accept the truth of what happened is beyond me. Beyond me. I think every country should have sovereign borders, a military to defend itself, and trade should be global. And that trade, because free market trade, if we're gonna have free market trade, it needs to be global. But when the government starts getting involved in what company gets used, who's this, who's that, instead of just allowing it to be free trade, that's when we run into our problems. I mean, I'm a libertarian. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat. I grew up around presidents and all that. My dad worked for one Democrat president. He worked for one Republican president. And I just saw them as men. Are you a good man? Do you make good decisions? Do you know, what's going on? And I learned how the system works. And now it's the system that doesn't work because it got so corrupt. And Dwight Eisenhower, on the way out of office, said, watch out for the military-industrial complex. And who exactly he was talking about were Richard and Allen Dulles, the two men I was talking about that they got the airport up there in D.C. named after, who basically caused all of what we're living in right now. All of it.
Sad.
And they've been dead for 60 years. Kind of scary.
That's the thing. Once it's on the books, once you pass a law, it's almost impossible to get rid of it.
That's right.
Today, it's almost impossible to get a law passed, depending on who the president is. If you're one that's going to pass something good, like the SAVE Act, you know, which I can't believe we even have to do that, because you'd think it would be a law already that a person that wasn't an American citizen wouldn't be able to vote in Americans' elections of any kind, because they're not a person. I can tell you right now, I can go over the border into Canada or down into Mexico, and I would go up and say, hey, I want to vote. They wouldn't let me vote. There's no way they'd let me vote.
No, they'll execute you in a lot of countries if you try it.
We're the only country in the world that puts up with this shit. No other country does it. Nobody.
Well, I don't know. After the incident in Belfast and what's going on in Northern Ireland right now, some people don't take shit. Some people take shit and some people don't take shit. That's all. The people who don't take shit are outnumbered right now. And that's because there's so much money in the economy and people sit around and play games and do shit all the time. Nobody's out here building anything, and the shit they build, they don't build right. It's been a systemic breakdown of the culture that built this nation. I mean, think about this for a second. You got New York City, Washington, D.C., Savannah, Georgia, Miami, Florida. If people racially felt the way they did then, that the Democrat Party accuses them of feeling, nothing would have ever been built, ever. Those people fought together, they worked together, they joined the military together, they went to church together, and they built this nation. And Obama comes in and goes, oh, we're a terrible nation and people don't get along and racism. I'm like, damn, you know, the only place racism is where a racist is standing. Because if you focus on people as people and try to do something good with your life, that's what's going to happen. Do good things happen. Do bad things happen. And we are 16 years into a coup d'etat. And if they're going to keep trying to do the coup d'etat until they win. And the only way that we're going to get out of this is to fight. And if they don't want to talk it out with words and go back to abiding by the law and doing that, then the fight might change to a different kind of fight. And I don't think anybody wants that. Everything that we're going through right now is what led to the Civil War. And they allowed it to happen again. So that's why you're supposed to remember history. Just look back to 1945 and look at today in America. We sound like Nazi Germany. And it's people on both sides of the aisle. I hear Megyn Kelly. I hear Tucker Carlson. I hear all these other people talking about Jews. I was like, well, you know, I don't know. The Bible says if you attack the Jews, you will regret it for decades. And every time that people attack the Jews, that's what happens. Now, I don't, whether you're religious or not or whatever, when something like that keeps going on, and you think you can do the same thing and get a different result, you are just insane.
Yeah,
And the whole Nazi movement is insane. It's insane.
I know. It's crazy. It's scary. But we've been going for over 2 hours.
I know.
So, I was going to say, is there anything you'd like to add before we say goodnight?
Just thanks for all the people that checked in, and I hope everybody's ready for a fight. We're in one.
We are fighting.
Yeah, we're in a fight.
Some people are just sitting on the sidelines eating the popcorn because they feel like they're in a position that doesn't matter which way it falls. And I feel sorry for those people. Because what's really sad is that we had a lot of people during the COVID stuff that realized at that time that they were, you know, huge Democratic supporters. And then when they found out that something happened with one of the jabs or something else happened and they didn't get what they thought they were going to get from all the stuff they did, they realized they were thrown under the bus, that they were used. And a lot of them opened their eyes because of it. A lot of stars and artists and other people, you know, realizing that they were duped. So we do have slowly people opening their eyes and realizing that, man, if we don't do something now, it's going to be too late. So I'm hoping it's not too late. I really am. But I want to say thank you to everybody who came out with us tonight and hung out. We have 75 right now watching us. Well, 80 now, but live. So I want to say thank you so much. And I hope that we were able to give you some information that you may not have had. I shared a bunch of stuff in the chat, and I have the chat for replay so that you can be able to see it if you go back and watch it later. But don't forget to please come by and say hi tomorrow night for the Friday Night Shit Show. I'd really appreciate it. And Saturday, I'll be playing Pathfinder again. It's where we roll dice, you know, and Dungeons and Dragons type stuff all day. That's what I'll be doing. And then Sunday, we'll be doing another Clint Eastwood movie. I can't remember the name of it. It's another Western. And we're going to be watching it in my Discord, and then we will review it afterward around.
Well, thank you 10 million times. Always appreciate coming on with you, Janet. It's fun.
Well, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. And I can't wait to see all of this unfold on C-SPAN when it's all going to come out. And it's going to be great. I think it's going to help a lot of people. And hopefully we'll start seeing some people punished. And hopefully once people are punished, we'll start seeing people being able to get the treatment they need once we have doctors that have already been working on it in the shadows, basically, of trying to figure out what they're going to do to help all these people, these injured people. So, you know,
I'll make a list for next week of all the herbs and what they do, and I'll lay it all out with AI so it gives the technical of everything. And then if, you know, I'm not a doctor, I'm not advising people to do things, but I'll give them information that they can take to their doctor. And if their doctor says, okay, that doesn't go against any medicine you're on, try that, whatever, then do what your doctor says. But I will make that list.
A lot of people don't realize that there are vitamins that you can go out and go buy at the health food store that can counteract your heart medicine.
Yeah,
or whatever other medicine you're taking. That's why you should always talk to your doctor about taking any vitamins and supplements and stuff like that. So yeah, make sure that your regular doctor knows what vitamins you're taking and what you know, that kind of stuff. And also if you have any of those type of health problems, you should also talk to your doctor before start a workout regimen. Too. So, you know, and get a doctor you trust, someone that you feel like really does care about you. And if you get that kind of a doctor, you know, hold on to them because
that's right.
Yeah, you're lucky to have someone. I really love she's a nurse practitioner, but I really love her. She's awesome. And I love my allergy doctor. He was awesome too. So I just feel really, really lucky to have a few of the people that I have. But you guys have a wonderful evening. And
bye, everybody.
Tomorrow's the beginning of the weekend. See you later.
Boys and girls all over the world are being abused and tortured.
The worst moments of these children's lives, they're being videotaped and they're being shared with other offenders all over the world.
Many people would refer to this as CSAM, child sexual abuse material.
They are suffering and they don't think that anyone is coming to help them. But we can. We can build that army and we can go get them.
Come be a part of this team that is trying to push back this evil.